right, I'm currently on the line with Kayla. She's another musician that reached out about the interview session. So I'm going to go ahead and give her the chance to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Kayla DeVine. I am a singer and also a bassist and drummer. I'm in a couple of different groups, and I'm excited to be talking to you today.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. Let's talk about how you became a multi instrumentalist. Describe for me what the environment was like for you when this all started. Were you pushed into music or just naturally pulled into it?
I had been in grade school in jazz band and in a choir, and then I hadn't done anything with music until probably about 3 years ago. When I started taking drum lessons with a friend. And then from there, my husband was in the School of Rock group in St. Paul, Minnesota. And they had needed another person to join one of their groups to fill it out for singing. And so I'd got kind of reintroduced again to that in that way. That would have been about a year ago. So
Okay, so you mentioned you started drums about 3 years ago. Was it
yeah.
in that kind of same time frame that you picked up other instruments as well, or how did that work out?
Yeah, so I was drumming and taking lessons, and then I actually got couple new drum teachers after my one drum teacher decided he was gonna be done for a while, and started doing that again. And then I didn't join any groups. I kind of got forced by a friend into just jamming with them and then starting a band with them. And then they roped my husband into playing guitar for them too. And we did we did that for about a year, and then he decided that he needed to take a break for a while. So then me and my husband were like, well, we've enjoyed doing this. Why don't we keep doing it? So then we started our own band with our friend Greg and our friend Jack, and then have been working on that currently.
Okay, so it sounds like your involvement with music has always been in a group setting where there was always kind of a need for you to fill in a specific spot.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So you mentioned that your husband was part of the School of Rock. Is your interaction with that just vicariously through him, or did you also go to School of Rock?
I'm going to the School of Rock now for bass lessons. I just started those about 3 months ago, and that was one of those things too, where it's like our bassist had moved to Chicago, and I wanted to play a little bit more than our other bassist and drummer had wanted to be playing. So we got a second drummer and kind of did a spin off of our original group, and we're gonna do a trio thing now as well.
So tell me about how you kind of. So what I'm looking for here is aside from just filling a need and wanting to be a drummer, do you feel like there was anything like in your past that kind of led you in the direction of becoming a musician, or did it just wildly come out of the blue?
No, I think I've always been a musical person or a creative person. I just had so many other life things going on that I had to kind of take a break from it for a while, and then found my way back into it recently.
Okay, and when you say take a break from it a while, was there a period in your youth that you were more involved in music, or
Yeah, so like I
what did you
said,
mean by that?
all of grade school and then into high school, I was in jazz bands. I played the saxophone for a long time, and then I also did choir and was the president of the choir for a while.
Okay, so that's kind of where I was going with that. Going into kind of the school environment for it, was it just kind of a class for you to take, and that's how you got into it, or did you have like musical parents that pushed you into it?
My dad, he used to do marching band, and he played in the Rose Bowl and was a saxophone player for a long time. And so a lot of that stemmed from him having a passion for it, and then me wanting to kind of follow in his footsteps. And then also we had a saxophone available. So they're like, hey, you can either play the saxophone or the trombone or the violin. 'Cause those are the three instruments we had at home. So
Okay, and then since he was very involved in it, did you take lessons through him, or did you do other private lessons?
no, so I did lessons through school. In grade school, they had band. So I started taking lessons there. And then I did take a couple private lessons. I forget the name of the school, to be honest with you, it was so long ago. And then after I'd gotten out of middle school and high school, I stopped doing playing saxophone.
Was it just jazz band you're in, or did you also do marching band?
I was in jazz band and band. I didn't do marching band though, no.
Okay. You didn't want to follow in those literal footsteps.
Literal footsteps. No, I was like, that sounds like a lot and kind of an awful time to be hot and outside carrying around the
Sure.
saxophone. Yeah, no.
All right. Okay, so let's kind of go back to kind of where we started this circular conversation. You mentioned that eventually you got back into it, started playing drums, and then started learning other instruments. And now you're doing bass. And you mentioned that it all kind of filtered into what your current project is and what you're working on now. So tell me a bit about what your current project is.
So I've got a couple of different things going on right now. I'm drumming for a guy named Jay Davis. He was doing original music and had posted a need to find a drummer and a bassist to help him write a new album. And so I started hanging out with him. It would have been December of last year. And so we've been working on writing some original music, and he's got a band name now. It's called Phosphate Hills. We have our first show this Saturday at the Terminal Bar with some other bands on the lineup.
Oh, that's cool. If I had known that, I might have tried to move you around in my schedule so I could help promote that. Um, in either case, you mentioned another project as well, in
Yeah,
tandem.
and then my husband and I and his friend from work, his name's Greg, they had made a full band a couple of years ago when they worked at a different company, just like as a spoof thing for fun. Because in their meetings, they would always talk about the economic headwinds. And so they're like, we should make a band called Economic Headwinds, and it should be like a corporate punk band. And we should actually do it. And so that kind of came into fruition too. This would have been last year in December. And then we started playing our first shows in March of this year. It's just like it's a cover band currently. And we do pop punk songs like the Linda Lindas and Lit and a bunch of different, just all pop punk.
Okay. So do you think that that's going to be kind of the permanent direction of that band, is just be kind of a cover band, or eventually do you think you guys will move into creating originals and things like that?
Yeah, Greg's in a different band called Glitter Trip, and they do original music too, as well as covers. So I think the idea is to this winter take a little bit of a break and start doing some songwriting and working on writing some original music for that too.
Okay. Are you also in that other band, or is it just
Yeah, so him and his friend came up with the idea at work, and then we kind of jokingly started jamming together. And then we actually played a show because I needed somebody to open for us. So I was like, why don't we do it? And then so since then, we've been playing together almost every week and have another show coming up as well.
okay? So is that three bands that you're in?
So there's two bands. There's Phosphate Hills where I'm drumming.
Hmm.
That's all original. We do a couple of cover songs, but ideally we want to do all original music for that.
Okay.
And then we're in Economic Headwinds, which currently right now is a pop punk cover band. And it's
Right.
me and my husband, and then his friend from work, Greg, who we started the band with. And then now we've got a guy in it named Rick who plays bass for us. But they only want to play live gigs every couple of months. So then we did a spin-off of that one, um, which we call the Power Trio, where that's why I'm learning bass right now. So that me and Ricky, and then we've got a new drummer named Tom, can go to smaller venues and play still,
Okay.
maybe more frequently.
It's a very confusing little tapestry of bands that you have going
It's
on.
a lot. There's a lot. And then I told my friend Kristen I would maybe play some bass in her band for her too. So we've got a lot going on. But I'm also the type of person that when I get passionate about doing something, I want to do it all the time and really learn and get into it. So
Yeah, I mean, I totally relate to that. I live by the mantra that you should live a full life and just be
yeah.
constantly doing stuff. So I
Mhm.
completely understand. Okay, so that's the direction of both of those bands. So tell me a bit about where you kind of see yourself. What do you kind of want as a musician in 5 or 10 years?
Hopefully be better than I am right now. I mean, ideally, I love all of it, which is a struggle for me right now because it's like trying to allocate time to drumming and also learning bass and also singing, getting better at those things. Um, but I would love to keep doing at least the one or two groups and maybe write some original music. I think that would be fun. And then just playing shows every quarter or so.
All right. So tell me about some of that motivation to keep a full schedule. What has happened to you in your life related to music that finds you, to remain in the saddle and continue to want to get better and improve?
I think I'm the type of person that's determined and stubborn, and when I want to do something and I've set my mind on doing it, that's what I'm doing. I also just have always kind of had a passion for music, but like I said, that didn't get rekindled until a couple years ago. So now that I'm in the mix and kind of starting to get back into it again, it's just full bore.
All right. I mean, that's completely legit. I appreciate that. All right. So tell me where people can find you and follow both of your bands and then check out music that you're putting out.
Yeah, we're still both very new, but we've got Facebook pages for Phosphate Hills and Economic Headwinds, and then also on Instagram, Economic Headwinds, and then we've got a website for that band as well, which is economicheadwinds.com.
All right, perfect. All right, so I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So, what's a message that you have that you want to share with other people?
Just have fun. Life is short. And if you enjoy something and you enjoy doing it, go for it. And don't be nervous about what other people are going to think, especially being somebody who's in their 30s and just picking music back up again. I think there's some preconceptions about it. And it's like just giving yourself grace and allowing yourself to be happy and taking things in stride and just having a good time, right?